Hi, hello, and welcome. I'm Elisa from Dice Unrolled, and we are here with Johan Eriksson.
Hello.
We are very happy to have you here, and thank you for chatting with us. So I hope that everything is going fine.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm having a blast.
Perfect. So I'm going to start with a little bit of a introduction question, because I already watched a little bit of the interview that we already had together with my colleague Stefano, and you said that you started playing and getting an interest in role-playing games when you were really little, correct?
Yeah, so it's the story is kind of like, so I got my first boxed set of a sci-fi game, a Swedish sci-fi game called Mutant, and I was around, I think, 10 or something like that, 11 maybe. And I didn't have any friends to play with, and that took a long while. So for a long while, I just read books. I just read the rule sets, and I tried playing by myself. So this is the entry point for me. I was living on the countryside and stuff like that. So until I was like 18, maybe 19, I had never played in a group. So most of the time up until that point, it was just me reading rules, nerding out about these worlds and these ways of like helping me draw out my imagination by having rules. And I can roll a die to see what something is built of, and like things really like it struck a chord with me, because then I could play with myself in a sense, and that was cool.
So you basically were playing solo adventures before it was cool, because like
Yeah, for sure. But playing would be a difficult qualifier here. It's more like having fun with it without actually trying to like make an adventure or anything. It was more like, okay, so today I'm going to draw a map of this world that I imagined yesterday, and then doing that, and then going about doing something else, right? So it was more playing with the stuff in the boxes, in the sense.
Oh well, that is actually really interesting. Do you still see a little bit of your younger self right now whenever you create, you have an idea or something like that?
100%. I'm still doing the same thing. The only change is now I have other people who plays NPCs and like fills out the world and invents more stuff. So it's more fun, right? And when it comes to creation, like when I'm making my own games, I mean, it's relying on that same basic kind of need to imagine things and describe it through rules. That's what I like, and that's the fun part.
That is actually kind of really interesting to see that all of the brains think very differently, and yours is really much rules oriented, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's visible in the way I think about creating rule systems. In Oceania, for example, the challenge that I put myself up to was really like, how do I express this whole world building primarily through rules? I didn't write narrative, I didn't write anything until the end of the process. Then I felt like, okay, I want to help my players just a little bit, so they get like some kind of framing for it. But the intent was, how do I create rule sets and systems that really just by playing with them you create this thing. And that it goes back to like I have another game called a 1 in a million chance at adventure also. It's the same thinking process. It's like systems first, and then trying to figure out how the rules generate the behavior that I want around the table, more than it is like, okay, so here's the narrative, here's the setting, here's the all that. It's more like, okay, so if this is the setting, then my players should behave this way. So then I have to make these rules. Like, it's very much that way.
Oh yeah, that is actually super interesting. And the first interview we had with you, your game was still in Kickstarter, so in the very early stages of the production, I guess. And right now everything is all different. It was published. You went actually public. It won the Magnifico prize, and it also moreover won the NDU, some of the NDU awards, and we are so proud of you and so happy for you. And do you think that all of these steps allowed your game to evolve? And did they give you some steps, some bouncing steps to ideate something new, something different?
Which steps are you talking about? Are you talking about like the process of the Kickstarter and the pre-development, and then
the winning the prizes and the going public?
In a sense, yes. So before going into the Kickstarter, the whole rule set was already done. So it was all, the game hasn't changed that much. There are small like tweaks that I did over the course of the Kickstarter and the following year until release. But they are minor tweaks and more like changing a word here and there to make it more. Yeah, exactly. And then after getting the reward, an award and stuff, like the most clear thing that's really changed for me as a creator is that now when I send the game to, like, let's say a YouTube channel, just the fact that it has received prizes means that it generates some interest, because it's a small game that not that many people know about. So it helps it break through that barrier, so to speak. So it becomes something that someone like, hey, wait, maybe I should check this out. And so that's really like a grand thing for me as a small indie creator. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually you are an indie creator, and your producer, your editing house, the Jocher house, yeah, games, and was it hard to work as an indie creator, or the pros and cons of that? Are there a lot of pros, a lot of cons?
Well, I chose to do it that way because of my politics. So only pros for me. No, what I'm saying here is actually like I don't want to edit what I'm doing to fit a market somewhere. I want to make something that is true to me and my vision, and be able to do that wholeheartedly, and never have to really think about like, okay, so maybe this thing won't fly with this certain market or this other thing, and be like, okay, so of course I think about these things because I'm also someone who makes games. I want people to play them, right? But being my own publisher means that I get to decide which level of commercialization that I have to adapt to, right? So for me, it's always been a question of, I make games so that they are easy to pick up and play, but I don't make games that are easy to put on a shelf and sell, because I have my day work, so I'm not dependent on selling all my copies at once. I don't need that for personal reasons, right? So that allowed me to be more free in that, I think. Hard part? Running the Kickstarter, I underestimated how much work that was, to a degree where I'm like, oh no, never doing that again. But I probably will do that again. But like going into a 1 month campaign, I had put away like 50% of my time. I'm going to do this. That was way too little time. And I'm like, when it's like 1 week left and it doesn't look like I'm going to hit the target, And I realized, okay, to get this to work, I have to step up and do 13 hours per day now. That's what I'm doing. So I just went in like a bullheaded person and just forced it through. And I sent, I don't know, like 1,300 direct messages to people, and like just having conversations with everyone who had responded and being like, mental breakdown level of work. That part, if you have a team and you can spread out that work, great. I don't want to do that again. That was horrible.
Yeah, that is the cons of being a one-man show.
Yeah, exactly.
That is actually that's a quite important con, and not many people would be, let's say, mentally prepared to face that problem. But as you said, to be true to yourself, to be true to your morals and beliefs, you went solo. And of course, your game faces a lot of strong thematics, and it has the possibility to maybe scare someone that is not ready to face them, but you are not afraid of that. You just go with that. Aren't you a little bit scared that this barrier could maybe limit the message that you want to spread?
No. So let's take this. Let's move away from games for 2 seconds and think about my source material. I was doing this based on some kind of inspiration from Orwell's 1984. It's a horrible book. It is scary. It's not palatable if you look surface value. And it didn't have success at once, because it's something that people read after a while. Someone else had read it. They told them, you should read this. It's good. And then someone picks it up and reads it, and it takes a while for it to kind of get momentum and become famous for something. And that something is the message. And if you would have diluted it to be more palatable and sell more copies, you wouldn't have a longevity in it. You wouldn't have a long life of it. It wouldn't be a classic. That's what we're saying. So in my mind, I'm thinking more like, what turns games from consumer products into classics? And that's kind of what I was after here. Like, I wanted to see, is it possible to make games that are like resonant to like life in general, and makes it more like a long-term thing? That's what it's for me.
Yeah, it is. I actually agree very much, and it's always also your games are full of politics. You cannot. You said once you cannot write a game without writing about politics, speaking about politics. We have many games, I'm not going to name them, but like they have all of the infights in the lore, all of the geography, politics, and if you evidently cannot write a game without writing about politics, and you are not afraid again of doing that. What do you think about this? And do you think, moreover, that RPGs could make people sensible to not sensible, but they could help spread messages and sensibilize people?
So I get the question. I think to start with, I'm one of these persons who say like everything is political, especially if we're talking about systems. If we're talking about systems design, they always carry behavioral patterns, and behavioral patterns is what shapes behavior. So behavior is political by nature. So this is the starting point. But then if we're talking about like as a propaganda tool, or like a convincing material, I mean, yes, to some degree, but I think it's still a game. I mean, it's still you're going to have people who don't agree with the politics engaging with the thing, still having a good time, not caring about the dissonance between their own real world self. And this, I don't think that's a problem either. I mean, I think it's more like what happens outside of the game is more interesting. So if you're playing this game, my game, for example, with a group of friends, and you're all kind of vibing with the messaging, you're going to start having conversations afterwards that are deepening your like a collective understanding of what you're actually thinking. And I think that's the important part of games as a medium. It's a collaborative like shaping that we do together in like a group. And I think that's the interesting part. So the framing of the game is what really makes it interesting from the political standpoint, I think, more. It's the same as like you read a classic book and you have an analysis group. That's what it is. You need to do that like external perspective, looking at the artifact and be like thinking about it. That's when stuff happens. So yeah, that's my take, I think.
So you said something that really interested me, and you said mechanic systems carry on politic views, and that is different from the politic view that is described in the background, in the game lore. Could you explain a little bit what do you mean by a mechanic system that carries a political view?
Sure. I mean, the easiest one, I use this in class. I teach game design, right? So I use this example in class because it's such a clear example. So in computer games, we have SimCity 3, all right? SimCity 3 is built from an American perspective. So if you play SimCity 3 and you introduce Swedish taxes in SimCity, everyone riots and the city collapses. So if you're just playing it and you don't think about it, you're going to learn that the way taxes work is if you keep it in the American framework.
Okay.
Just by trial and error. And since it's a game, you're just playing with it. You're learning without realizing you're picking up on the patterns, right? So it's only when you recontextualize it and try something that the game was not meant to do where it becomes like, oh wait, this reflects something. And then you can start learning about it, right? So that's what I mean. Like what is actually happening there is that the systems built in that game carries the like economic political sense of, well, now then 90s 2000s American society, in a sense. So that's the, in a nutshell, what I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. Got it. Interesting. And also about that you are a Swedish person that is basically obligated to interface with the other culture and American culture in, I guess, in the most. Did your game sell worldwide, correct?
Yeah, I sell everywhere. And it's kind of evenly spread out over the globe, actually. I think the least represented right now, I think, is the African continent. But I have sold games there also, but like, so I think it has more to do with like media reach and like where are the YouTube accounts that has done reviews and stuff viewed the most, etc.
And did you find, do you also GM your game? So you kind of go in various cons and like play and various other, I guess, cities. And did you find many different approaches to the game based on the different nation? Did you find it interesting to study the players?
So I don't travel around as much as I would wish with the game. I don't have time. I work too much. I have GM'd it in, I think, Germany, Sweden, and tomorrow I'm doing here. So those are the only contexts I know of. However, the game itself is created in a way so that it's meant to be played in a variety of different ways. I, for example, talked to someone who was playing, I think it was here in Italy, who was playing like Brazil-inspired, like satirical kind of comedic tone to it, and then a little later played with another group, and they did the more like harsh Orwellian, serious vibe. And it's the same game, it does the same things, but it has very different like depth, and it does very different things emotionally to the players. But the game encourages that kind of playfulness with the setting. So because I don't define tone too much, I give you random tables for setting up the world, and that can sometimes it falls out to be like slightly like a parody of what you're thinking, and sometimes it's bang on to very realistic, and so it kind of moves in that whole spectrum. I have gotten feedback from people around the world how they experienced the game, and not more than like 3 days ago I got actually a long letter from someone in a South American country who profusely thanked me because it felt real. They were like saying like it doesn't almost feel like a game, it feels like a portrayal of reality, but it also gives me hope, so thank you for that. And I'm like, that's the biggest validation I've gotten so far, which is like, yeah, I was stunned.
Oh, that must have felt really good, actually, I guess, and it also already answered one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, because I read that you put a lot of emphasis on the last step of the game, that would be the players, and the interactions that players have between each other and also with you. And I also read that you left a Discord server where they can actually get in contact, build a community and exchange their ideas. And actually you already told that you already got a lot of messages and feedback. So it's really interesting that you see that someone puts such importance on this aspect.
Yep. Yeah, I like it was something like during creation to start with, I was like, that was in my hopes for the game. Like, I hope this strikes a chord on a deeper level with people. I hope that it feels true and that it doesn't like feel like it's making light of actual oppression, because it is about oppression. And so this is, I'm deciding from a Swedish perspective. The Swedish perspective is we're having a long time kind of stable society with social security systems, and of course it's a little bit different right now than it's been in the past, but anyways, that's the culture I'm coming from. So in a sense, like, how am I the person to talk about totalitarian government oppression, right? That was a worry I had, and like a really self-conscious part of creating this. And so I was constantly hoping that the way I portray this is going to resonate with people who's been through that, and that it still can give something that's good. And just hearing back about that it's the best thing in the world, because like what I've technically done is taking my own experiences living in social democracy and the way it's been being like an anarchist in that setting, and then just like modeling these systems and then cranking up the volume to 11, and then hearing back like this is the way it's received by people who recently lived through these things, and that they're getting hope from the game even though it's very like harsh. For me it becomes this like also a proof of an idea I've sat with for a long time. Like, we are all living in the same oppressive systems. It's not different if you're in this type of society or this type of society. It's the same mechanisms. the question is, where in the process are you, and how loud are those things happening around you, and how targeted are you? And so then that's the question. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's train of thought just drifted now. Okay.
Oh yeah, no worries. It was a really interesting train of thought. You spoke about a system, an operation system, and really interesting thing that I saw you do is the way you sell your games. That is, it is not selling them and trying to giving them away for free. What do you think? With this background, what do you think about the editorial landscape that we have here or whenever?
Yep.
And what would you like to see in the future? Like, would you like it to change, and in which direction?
Just clarify about what, like the way that we review and look at games, or I didn't catch that.
The way you distribute your games.
Okay. So, as a solo developer, in the completely like marketing budget zero, what I see giving away the free rule set, for example, is as marketing. Because word by mouth is the strongest way of getting it out there. And then the way that I can make something for myself of it is by selling the collector's edition. Mm-hmm. And that's the way, for me, that I thought, like, okay, so I'm not going to be a person that spends money on ads or like external marketing stuff. So this was a way for me to like think about it. But then also, like, there is this solidarity thing. I want, like, the people who are the most oppressed are the most poor. So I don't want to charge for it. It comes back to that. If we're looking at how I would wish for everything to work, oh, that's a huge question. I mean, I would prefer a gift economy. I would prefer mutual aid systems. I would prefer a bunch of stuff. We're not there now. I don't know. Changing the thing we're in right now to something else, well, maybe just being a little more relaxed about money. I don't know. But that's hard when you don't have it. So I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, maybe little steps at a time, maybe thinking about stuff, maybe changing our mindset could help a little bit, step by step, like ants' words work.
Yeah, so if we're tying it back to like game publishing and stuff like that, I really think if you're a small actor and you're doing small productions, etc., having ways of like receiving donations is a really good thing. Like the pay what you want model, I actually like that a lot. And if you're doing something that resonates with people and that strikes a chord, people are kind of happy to give you support money-wise. So I think that comes from certain other productions I've made that it kind of makes sense. This one is for sale, so I've received less donations for it. Instead, people buy the book, which makes sense, right? All the other games I have are only for donation, or some are not even allowed donations. It's like it's just for free. So that model it has limitations, it has benefits. I don't know. And at the end of the day, like, this is not a gripe at bigger companies that do for profit sales or marketing. I'm not against that. It's good. If you have a marketable product that works in that thing, and you have the team and you have the time and effort to do that, that's great, because you reach more people. That's it. And I mean, that's one way that takes less patience. If I'm okay to have sold 2,000 copies in my lifetime, then I can do my way.
Yeah, that is actually super okay. Different market strategies for different actors, let's say. So anyway, I wanted to let's say, lighten maybe the mood a little bit for with our last question, so we can conclude our interview in a little bit of personal level. So, is this the first time that you that you came here at Play? And how is Italy treating you? Is everything going okay?
So yeah, it's the first time at Play Festival. It's the first time in Italy. Like I've never been here before. I just said when I was walking to lunch today that like I actually think I like Italy a lot. I think it's a really cool place. I like the vibe. I was talking to someone yesterday. It was like, so do you have a recommendation for a good coffee place? And he was like, yeah, I worked there before. You can go there. They're very nice. They're not too nice. They're very nice, but they're not too nice. You'll have a good time. And I was like, okay, I love that. It's not fake.
Yeah.
And I like that. It's not someone who feels like, okay, I met that too, but like for the most part, my experience is like, if someone is having a bad day, I'm going to notice they're having a bad day. It's fine.
Yep.
And it makes it more human, and I like that. I'm coming from a culture where, you know, everything's surface, and it's like, oh, I'm having a bad day, but it's great. And I have a hard time with that, because then I notice something is off, but I don't know what. I'm more happy with someone being just grumpy, and that's fine. So yeah, I love Italy so far.
Yeah, I think we're very open people with our emotions. So, I mean, we're very happy that you're finding everything nice and everything okay. And first of all, we're very happy that you agreed to the chat. And thank you very much. And I guess bye. And wish you good luck for all of your next projects.
Thank you.
And I guess bye for now. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks for staying with us. If you've enjoyed yourself, give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more content.